Hello and welcome to this bonus episode of Films for the Very First Time. My name is Jordan. With me, as always, is Casey McGeorge.
Oh, how's it going, everybody?
It's going good. We got a new Benoit Blanc movie to discuss today. Here's how it usually works on the podcast. We typically each pick a movie for the other person that the other one has not seen. There are some wild cards and stuff like that we can get into, and none of us have used yet this season. But what we wanted to do is Casey and I are both fans of the Knives Out films by Rian Johnson, and we knew we were both going to watch this movie. Our podcast is called Films for the Very First Time. Why not give a little bonus episode where we get this one turned around, pretty quickly from the usual how far we had recorded in advance. What that will also do, by the way, is when I'm counting the stats, there will be references to movies that are coming up that we have not released yet. So I guess if you're worried about spoilers on what movies we're going to talk about next, you can tune out then. But I think most people won't care. It'd be a fun little tease on what movies are getting picked coming up. Yeah. Okay. So it'll be a little different format than what we usually do, where we say, like, why didn't you see this movie originally? Why did you pick this movie? This is a brand new movie. So we're going to just kind of do a quick spoiler free discussion in case if anybody wants to know our thoughts or if it's worth checking out, I guess, on Netflix. And then we'll dive into the spoilers and actually, discuss the film itself and then wrap it up with our stats and all that. So the last episode we released was Fright Night, where we talked the 85 Fright Night and 2011 Fright Night. Next episode, which is next week or so, is The Batman. That's what I picked at the end of the last episode. So those will be coming up. It's not going to affect our schedule here releasing this one. So nice little bonus episode as we get close to Christmas.
So before we start, let me ask you, what are your experience with like detective movies? I know obviously you were a fan of LA Confidential, right? Because we
Mhm.
watched that last season. Um, but what's your experience or what your thoughts or your feelings on detective movies in general?
I don't know if you know this. Probably not because you're asking, but like murder mysteries and whodunits are one of my favorite things. Reading them, I love reading like Agatha Christie or Sherlock Holmes, and um, I bought the whole Poirot TV show from England. I have that on DVD. Um, I grew up watching Monk and Psych, that and like Columbo and Murder She Wrote, Matlock, Diagnosis Murder, like those type of shows where it's always that very smart person that is able to put together the piece and figure out how the person did it or who did it and all that kind of stuff is one of my favorite things. So that's kind of been something, man, even going back to like elementary school reading. Have you ever read Encyclopedia Brown?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Like reading that in school at the library and stuff, just like I loved those type of things, trying to solve it. It's like this fun
The Hardy
game.
Boys and
Yeah, it's like a fun game of trying to solve it before the main person does, and trying to figure out if you would be able to do that. So, whodunits are some of my favorite things. You know, stuff like that's why I was a big fan of Clue. The video game, the game of Clue, and the movie of Clue. And then uh, there was also a great TV show that was right up my alley. It was a reality TV show called Whodunnit on ABC, and instead of like where they're doing like survivor challenges and stuff, what it is it's people in a house, but like each episode somebody gets killed off, and like they have to solve like how the person died essentially, and it has like clues in the house for them to kind of figure out and piece together, and it's like this very like uh it only lasted one season. I own it digitally because I really love that show. But yeah, so murder mysteries, some of my favorite things. We actually used to do that in our house too. Like when I would go to my cousins with my grandmother, we would play like a whodunit game we made ourselves. I don't I'm like where we would take little slips of paper and leave clues around the crime scene, and then like we would watch them try to solve the crime, and like the person that wrote the crime are there to answer questions and all that kind of stuff. So uh one of my favorite things. What about you with murder mysteries?
Pretty similar. I grew up in the '80s, so I watched a lot of Matlock on a weekly basis. I watched a lot of Murder She Wrote on a weekly basis. Cabot Cove. I'm still shocked that there has not been a Murder She Wrote revival in any way, shape, or form.
They're trying. Jamie Lee Curtis
I could
is
see
playing Jessica Fletcher supposedly.
I could see her doing a like Jessica Fletcher's sister or daughter or something. Like I'd be down for that. Um, I started getting into Monk a little while ago, but I never finished the series just because life got in the way, and then I gone like a month or two because I was binging it, and I gone a month or two without watching an
Mm.
episode, and it's one
They
of
actually
those.
just did a you know how Psych has been doing the TV movies? They did one
Yeah,
for Peacock of Mr. Monk as well, and that was good.
I own the Psych series. I Psych is probably one of my favorite TV shows of all time. I
Same.
got into it when it first appeared on USA, mainly because I was watching Monday Night Raw on USA and the promos and stuff, and it seemed kind of weird. And I watched a couple episodes, and then I got hooked.
Well, you see
Um,
what I my history with Psych. I know this is not a Psych thing, but I actually watched it the night it premiered because I at that time was already watching Monk, and I kept seeing commercials on USA for Psych, and we actually went to a minor league baseball game at the Ironbirds here the day it came out. So I actually recorded it on VHS. Came home, watched the pilot on VH, like rushed home, like ran up to my room where I had a TV and VCR and watched it. But I'd only set it for an hour, and that broadcast version was a couple extra minutes for the pilot. So I actually never saw the end of the pilot until the DVD came out. But
oh no,
I was hooked on the show anyway. I still really enjoyed it, and
I
from
want to
there on, I was
say
just like,
I want to say for me it was episode 3 that got me hooked. The episode, the spelling bee episode, and
yeah,
that
yeah,
was just literally as one of the words they used in the spelling bee was bananas, and that just
yeah.
like that for me was what hooked me in. I told you
I
before
think
I
that's
did.
episode 2 as well. But yeah, go ahead.
It's 2 or 3. It's one of the first couple ones, but that's when
Yeah.
I really got hooked. Um, I did a murder mystery dinner theater in Las Vegas, which I absolutely loved, and I want to go again.
I
They
always
have
wanted to
one.
do that, or like I never got a chance to do escape rooms yet. But like in the like have you gone to like the board game aisle at Target where they'll have like those dinner party type murder mystery
Yeah,
games? I
yeah.
really want to get that too. Like those look fun.
They have one I think monthly out here on the Queen Mary that I might try and find someone to go with me because if I go by myself, I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna think, oh, that guy's probably the goddamn killer, and doesn't work out too well when you're by yourself. Um, CSI was another show I fell in love with. Once again, I started watching that on I think it was TNN at the time. It wasn't Spike TV yet, but they just got the syndication rights for it. And so they had this big push, and it was I want to say it was in October. It was around my birthday because my birthday is October 11th, so it's always around Columbus Day. I think we had like a 3 or 4 day weekend for it or something. So I watched like I was off the next day. I watched Monday Night Raw. Got it, it ended, and then they were starting CSI from the beginning. There, and that first episode hooked me right there. It's fantastic. Um, so I've watched a lot of those things. At some point, either on cable or maybe I rented it, there was a Hercule Poirot Murder on the Orient Express that starred
Was it the Kenneth Branagh one or a different one?
No. This was years before. This was in
Oh,
the
okay.
'90s, early
That is
2000s.
the. I think I know which one you're talking about.
It had why can I never think of this poor guy's name? It was Doctor Octopus.
Oh, Alfred Molina.
And Alfred Molina is Hercule Poirot, and that was the first time I had ever watched an Agatha Christie thing. Loved it. I've been trying to pick it up on DVD, but because it's like a limited run thing or whatever, it's always like $150 for the DVD or Blu-ray or something. And I'm not paying that much for one movie. Sorry, it's just not gonna happen. I love my physical media, but that's
Oh, okay. It was the. Okay, here you go. It was a 2001 CBS made-for-TV movie.
yeah, it was really good, and that was my first actual experience with Agatha Christie stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I read just about all the Sherlock Holmes stuff when I was a kid. When I used to read a lot. Family Guy did a Agatha Christie kind of spoof with when they killed James Woods'
Yes.
character off,
Yep.
and then there were fewer, which once again got me in. So I actually have a couple of her books. I just haven't got around to reading them. Um, so I've always loved the murder mystery, like you said, the
Mm-hmm.
whodunit type things. Um, I always joked around because a bunch of us used to love watching Matlock when I was in the army because by then it'd been off the air for a while, so it would come on at lunchtime or
Right.
it's like a weird syndication thing. So I'd always joked around that like if I ever got pinned up for a crime, I was gonna hire Andy Griffith just to come in and be my lawyer, or just to come in to portray my lawyer. Just maybe hopefully that would get me off.
That's isn't that a bit in Arrested Development where they they
Yeah,
want to get
but they
Andy
couldn't.
Griffith to just
They
lean
couldn't.
in?
Yeah, they couldn't get him. They couldn't get him. They got someone else, but they couldn't get Andy
Yes.
Griffith. Plus, they thought they were making fun of him for the
Because
Mayberry
they had the
stuff or
log
whatever.
cabin. Yeah, they had the log
Yeah, they
cabin
thought he was
truck.
making fun of him, so they wouldn't. It wouldn't do it. Uh, yeah, so I've always been a fan of those. And then the Kenneth Branagh stuff came out, right? Murder on Orient Express. I think I saw that in the movie theater. Loved it. Picked it up in 4K, and
I know a lot of
then
people don't like his versions, but I thought they're fine. I think they're fine.
now they're not releasing the new ones in 4K. Or no, they released the second one in 4K,
Yeah, I think Death on the Nile was,
but
but
the
not
third one is only in
Haunting of
Blu-ray.
Innocence.
Yeah, the third one is only in Blu-ray. So I still want it 4K. I'm holding out hope, but I might just have to suck it up.
Yeah,
Um,
I haven't watched the third one yet, but
I haven't
uh,
either. I think just because of that. But I probably want to get around to it.
streaming now. Yeah, it's on. It's on.
So they've always been some things I've enjoyed.
Well, how about the Knives Out the first two here? Like if we're just kind of discussing like that's one of the reasons I went to see Knives Out was I'm always longing for more, murder mystery, whodunit movies and TV shows that I um wanted to go support it. Plus, it was Rian Johnson who did The Last Jedi, which is a very controversial Star Wars movie, but I enjoyed it. So uh, I went to it, and it had Daniel Craig, it had Chris Evans as and Anna de Armas, who I did not know at the time, but those were like the front three on like the poster and stuff, and it just looked like a loaded cast. And I went and saw it, I loved it, and then you know um
I can't remember if I saw that in the theater or streaming. I might have seen it in the theater.
I think you
Then
did,
watching it.
honestly, because I think then we bought it on DVD, and it came with the short story book thing from written
Yeah,
by
I mean,
Harlan or whatever.
I do have the I do have the disc as well.
Yeah, but I think we bought it
Um,
around the same time, so I thought you may have already seen it, but maybe you didn't.
yeah.
I don't know.
Um, but yeah, I loved it. Like we talked about before, I had no knowledge on the Daniel Craig accent thing until I watched him in as Bond, and then I was like, oh yeah, this might not be the best accent. But I still love the character of Benoit Blanc.
Yes.
Um,
I like his accent. After rewatching these this week, I've been talking to myself in that accent. Not very well, but
I'm kind of used to it now. Like at this point, like I've just accepted the accent. Like it is
yeah.
what it is. I will say the one thing that disappoints me is the fact that the only one that is available in physical media is Knives
Yes.
Out.
Yes. That
The
was before the Netflix deal.
Glass Onion did not come out on physical media and probably will not. More than likely this one will probably not come out on physical media.
There's actually, I would say there's a better chance this one will come out on physical media than the other one because Netflix will release some stuff via the Criterion collection. And I think this movie has a better chance of getting that than Glass Onion. But
If I were
it's
them, I would do a box set with all three.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I've already bought the first one, but I'd buy it again just because I want all three. Spoiler alert on how I always feel about the movie. But yeah, I was a fan of the first two. I think the second one, Glass Onion, only had a really limited release in theaters. It was only for a
And so
couple
did
weeks.
this. Yeah.
I think just so it could meet the requirements for Academy Award stuff.
That's the only reason Netflix releases anything in theaters. Yep.
Um, so I don't think I saw it in theaters. I think I just saw it on Netflix,
Same.
but I still enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Uh, I once again, if I had it physically, I might watch more. Not that it's a chore to like turn on Netflix, but like physically have to go searching for it on Netflix instead
Mm.
of like just going over to my case and being like, oh, like let me watch
Yeah, I
Glass Onion.
when I rewatched it this time before this release, it was only my second time. Like I watched it when it released that day on Netflix in 2022 and then had not rewatched it since. I do think some of these movies get lost. We talked about it before for movies that aren't streaming anywhere, but also movies that are streaming anything kind of get lost in the lump sum of things. I've started making a list on Letterboxd of streaming movies that are like only available on streaming that I really like. So that way, because like when we pick movies and stuff right now, we're sharing our collection with each other.
Yeah,
I want to be able to have like a list of stuff that is maybe only on streaming that I can send to you that says, "Have you seen any of these?" And it's
yeah.
tough because some of those fall through the cracks because I'm not thinking about it because it's not,
It
you know,
like we talked about before with like cable, where so either back in the day when you had just the TV Guide channel, you had to watch the scrolling thing that
right,
would come
right.
on, like
Yeah,
or when it went to like DVRs and digital cable where you had the menu guide and you had to scroll yourself. But then
yeah,
you might see something like, oh, Glass Onion's on. And then maybe you scroll through real quick, there was nothing else on. So you could put that on real quick while you were cleaning, folding clothes, doing laundry, typing up whatever you're typing up or doing whatever you're doing. As compared to now, because stuff is streaming and it's like, okay, I need to put something on. What do I watch? For me, it's usually like quick comfort stuff, Family Guy, American Dad. I need something like I can just kind of turn my brain off where I don't necessarily have to pay attention to it. And maybe it goes just in like quick short bursts or something. Not, I don't need like a full. This one was what 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 38
yeah,
minutes or
yeah.
something like that. So like if I'm putting something like that on, like I have to pay attention to it, which is not bad. But the streaming thing, as great as it is and as convenient as it can be, it stuff gets lost because unless you specifically go searching for it or you go online to find out where is this movie or TV show streaming, you know, you can't find it. Like I want to watch Two Broke Girls. I've heard it's a great series, but it's only available on Roku.
Interesting.
Like it's only available on Roku. So like I don't have a Roku TV. At some point I'm gonna have to get another TV. I don't know what kind I'm gonna get, and whatever kind I get might be Roku
Oh, do you
compatible or
not have
something.
one?
What?
You don't have Roku TV?
No, the TV I have is a Vizio, and all the apps are pretty much based on like on the T
Uh,
like apps on the
yeah,
TV already.
yeah.
Um,
I have a
so
Roku TV that I just got 4K like last year, and then I have a Fire Stick as well. So if something's not working on the Roku side, I can flip over to the Fire Stick and use the apps over there, or vice versa. Because there's some apps like I think Twitch that are only on Fire Stick because Amazon owns them or something, compared to uh and they're not on the Roku one or whatever. So it's a bit of a
And then each of these
issue.
TV brands kind of, obviously you're going to get the big ones. You're going to get Netflix and Hulu apps on all your TV brands and Disney
Mhm.
Plus and HBO Max, stuff like that. But then some of your other ones, Fire, and Roku are only available on certain TV brands. So I don't know. At some point in the road, I'm gonna have to get another TV.
Yeah.
Which once I do that, I don't know. I honestly have no clue what kind I'm gonna get, and I might have that what kind of apps it has available on. It might make a difference. Which if I change my TV brand, I'm gonna have to change. I'm not gonna have to, but I'm probably gonna change my soundbar brand because I have a Vizio like
Oh, okay.
5.1 soundbar system, right? But it'll still work with another TV, but obviously if you get the same brand, it syncs up better and works better and connects automatically and all that other stuff. So I don't know.
All right. So do we want to do some quick spoiler thoughts, spoiler free thoughts of just kind of like uh what we thought of it, and then kind of go into spoilers from there. If people have stuck with us for 22 minutes waiting for us to know what we thought of the movie. um, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I'll go. I enjoyed this movie. This honestly, now in all fairness, I haven't watched the other two in quite a while. Probably last year because when did Glass Onion come out? 23,
22.
22. Jesus, that was 3 years ago. I
Yeah.
don't think I've watched it since it came out, honestly. And I probably haven't watched Knives Out since I might have watched Knives Out before Glass Onion came back out.
Right. Right.
So I'd say it's been a good 3 years since I've watched both of them, total. Um, so I might have to do a rewatch just to get my mind right again. But I think for me, this might be my favorite one of all three. Uh,
Mm.
this mystery was a little more complex. As they went through the crime, there were some things I could see coming, right? There were a
Yeah.
couple things I saw coming from the beginning, and some things I saw coming as it was moving along. Which obviously, for anybody who's into that stuff, they're going to be kind of in tune, and they can maybe pick some of those out because that's how their mind works, and they're into those things. Um, some things I did not see coming in any way, shape, or form. There were some twists and turns in there that I was like, "Ooh, that's new. Good job." Um, I hope we get more. I don't know. I don't know how they feel. I know Johnson and Daniel Craig were a little upset at Netflix because I guess
Yeah.
initially this was supposed to go to theaters and then they pulled back and it wasn't, and then
It
they pulled back
so it,
again.
so what it
So
was
it
is
went for a couple of weeks or something.
so Glass Onion had the limited run, but it included theaters like AMC and Regal and stuff. AMC and Regal and stuff are kind of in a dispute with Netflix right now, and they have decided I Netflix could not really did not really give them enough. I think they wanted more
Time with the movie.
time with the movie. Netflix said no. So it is very hard to find a theater for this one because it was not in any of like the big chains. So I think it was in 500 theaters nationwide. A
Jesus.
lot of those were not the big chains. It was very similar to Glass Onion in the sense of like limited theaters and the same amount of weeks. I think it was only 2 weeks from
Just
the
so it can meet
Thanksgiving.
that requirement for to
Yeah,
be considered by the Academy for anything.
yeah, and then but because they're having that conflict with the other one, it's been a lot harder for people to find theaters. So much so that Rian Johnson is literally every time anything about this movie is coming out, he kind of will mention in my pinned tweet is a theater finder. Directs them to a website where they can find a theater to watch the movie. and he does that after every single publicity thing of like what he's doing on this. Every time I see him talk about it, he's like, "And here's a theater finder for you, to find it."
So
So now this was the last one of the deal. Netflix originally bought after the success that Lionsgate had with Knives Out 1, Netflix bought Knives Out 2 and 3. We don't Johnson says that he and Daniel Craig are just now kind of starting to talk about a potential fourth one, which means it is a possibility that another distributor other than Netflix could swoop in and it gets back into theaters and then ends up on a different streaming service after theaters. This could be one of the most
sought after
spread out
movies.
and spread out releases in the sense of the first one was Lionsgate, the next two were Netflix, and then now this other one is on this day. Like it could be very, very spread out. But
So I'm of two
curious.
thoughts on this. One, I'm sure they got paid a boatload of money because they're losing anything they would get from the theater run from it, right? So I'm sure they had to get paid a boatload of money up front in
I
order
think
to
they
do
paid
that.
450 million just for the rights to these two
My
before
second thought
before
is,
budget.
my second thought is, um, they kind of signed a deal with the devil. Like, not saying
Yeah,
Netflix is the devil, right? Not saying they're bad or horrible. I don't know their inner workings, but you signed a deal with Netflix, who even when Scorsese did The Irishman, like, which obviously was after like at least one of them, if not, but like they only gave that a really limited run in theaters. Like, that's Martin Scorsese. Like,
yeah.
but
I think from what I read when I was looking into it is he thought when he was signing the deal with them that he was going to get more of um a better run in theaters. He thought the understanding was maybe a little different than it ended up being when they were signing this. So now he still says very nice things about Netflix. So Netflix could go ahead and buy the
yeah,
next one or
I
whatever.
I,
But
I
yeah,
bet whoever he signs with for his next one, if they do more, there's probably going to be in the contract of like it has to have a minimum of like 4, 6, 8 weeks or whatever of a
right,
theatrical
right,
run. Like, I don't think he's gonna allow that to happen unless like they're not backing up the Brinks truck, unless they're backing up the Scrooge McDuck money bin to him and Daniel Craig. Like, you know, that's the only way I could see them doing the same kind of thing again with like Netflix of like, hey, they only get like the 2 week run. Um so like I said, I'm of two minds. Like, I get it of them being upset, but like when you signed a deal with Netflix, like you kind of got to
yeah,
know what you're getting into. Like, it's Netflix; they're only really do the streaming thing. So plus, like, they're like, I'm sure they're losing out on money for physical media wise, right?
yeah,
Um, Not saying they'd get rich off the physical media release, but I'm sure depending on these all three of these have been great movies. I'm sure they got something for the first one, right? So I'm pretty sure they probably get something for the second and third. But if there's no second and third physical release, then
right, right. And actually, I think just re-release. I was at Walmart. I think they just re-released the first one on DVD and like 4K and stuff because I was at Walmart and it was like front and center where the new releases are. So it was like I think a new steelbook or a new cover and all that kind of stuff. So um yeah, but okay, I also really enjoyed this one. I think this is a movie that you can probably say is technically better than Knives Out just with how it's made, the performances, the technique in it. I still think Knives Out is probably my favorite one because I just rewatched it and it shot up my rankings like so much as like a comfort movie, as a very nice, like funny movie to put on like when it's a rainy day. Um this one deals with so much heavier topics and deep themes that I feel like it's not one I would revisit a lot, but I still really enjoy. I think it's a really great movie. I gave it 5 stars, so over on
Yeah,
Letterboxd.
for
I
me
was very
it'd be a 5-star movie for
yeah.
me as well, like without a shadow of a doubt. So like I think all three would have been 5-star movies for me.
I think I gave Glass Onion 4.5, but like I still don't hate it the way some people do over on the social medias.
They burned up the Mona Lisa.
All right, are we ready to move into spoilers?
I'd say go for it.
All right,
So anybody
there's the
listening,
warning. Yeah.
yeah, from this point forward, we're talking about actual stuff in the movie. So if you haven't watched it yet or don't want to hear it, hey, thanks for listening. We'll check it next time. But
Yeah. All right, let's get into it then. How do we want to do this? So let me just say a couple things off the top, I think here. Josh O'Connor, who plays Father Judd in this, is really amazing. I think he does a really great job. And I don't think, if I were to say, okay, at the beginning of the movie, we see Benoit Blanc for about 5 seconds reading a piece of paper. We do not see him again until 39 minutes into the movie. And I did not really feel like that was too long because Josh
no,
O'Connor was carrying this
he,
movie
he
with the rest of the
he
cast.
kept me captivated. Like the
Yeah.
story kept me captivated. I honestly until everything kind of happened, I thought he sent him a letter, kind of like in Glass Onion and like Knives Out. I thought he had mailed Benoit Blanc a letter
To say, like, come
about,
help me.
yeah, like this is
Yes.
what
Yeah, same.
happened. Like, come help me. I didn't realize until he sat him down and was like, I need you to write down everything that's happened. And then I was like, oh, so he's just, oh, so like, okay, this makes a little more sense now.
Each movie does this, by the way. They do very fun twists on the structure of the story. The first one has the murder, the investigation, and then when he's interviewing Marta, we go back and see Marta switching the vials by accident. We think it's Harlan just doing a suicide, and then, you know, then eventually we get back caught up at the end, and we continue on thinking Marta just made a mistake, but then they do the reveal at the end, and we figure out that somebody else did actually try to switch the vials there. So it's like that's a cool structure for Knives Out. Glass Onion does almost something similar where we go forward, we stop at a certain point and go back and fill in some big gaps and then take off the rest of the rest of the movie, go forward. This one kind of does um something a little similar where we're starting with him writing, we go back and kind of fill in the stuff up until the murder, and then Blanc enters, we get caught up to where we are, and then we continue forward from there. So Rian Johnson loves playing around with like the structure of the story, and I think it gives each of them kind of a specific vibe while you're watching it too. I really like the setting of this, being a church in like a small New York town that is, very uh when I went to church a lot as a kid, once we moved, when I was in elementary school, we moved and we went to a church that was kind of like this, very small. And it was, you would see the same people there at every service or every mass, whatever. And you would get to kind of know them from that or know them from Sunday school, all that kind of stuff. So I felt kind of at home with that type of setup versus some of the new churches that you have now that are a little bigger
The mega
or
churches and things.
mega churches and all that kind of stuff where it's not as personal. So
Yeah,
I like the vibe of that.
this is definitely a very small community. I grew up in upstate New York. I don't think this was filmed up there. I think this was filmed in England. I'm not
It
sure
was in
exactly.
England. Yep.
Um, but yeah, a lot of upstate New York does kind of look like that. It's very beautiful. countryside, and you can have a lot of places with trees and mountains and lakes and things. Except it's horrible during the winter because it gets freezing cold and then you got a lot of snow. And I don't miss that. But like some of the spring and the fall when the leaves change in the fall and everything, and you get some of the crisp fall days, I kind of miss those days sometimes. But I could see like a small church in a small upstate New York town like this where it's a very small town. They don't have like Jeremy Renner plays like the town doctor where like they don't have like a lot of medical practices up there, so they only have a few people practicing medicine in that town, right? So he's the town doctor. They probably have a town veterinarian, right? Um, the people who have been going to that church, their families have probably been going for years and years.
Right.
Like they're the kind of families who have assigned, like not necessarily assigned seating, but their family's been sitting like in the front pew in the left hand side for like the last 30 years, right? And somebody new moves in up there, like you kind of got to start the back and work your way up. You can't just, you
Right.
know, one of the people who I think did a really great job in this, who I was really impressed with Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
Um,
very different kind of role for him.
Thanos just branching out. We saw him in the Goonies earlier, and wasn't he in something
Yes.
else we saw? We saw him
No,
in the Goonies.
just Goonies and that. Yeah, because that's part of the stats when we get to the stats.
Um,
No, I think most of the cast did good. I've seen some people say this is the weakest supporting cast of the three. I do think they maybe weren't given as much, right? It's
I think
much
too
more
because
focused.
it's a bigger cast. So
Yeah, it kind of feels more focused on Father Judd and Benoit Blanc and Glenn Close's characters, I would say, than some of the other side characters that we don't get as much for. But also, what we have to take into account too here, because I saw somebody kind of throw a shot at Jeremy Renner saying he slut walked through this. This is
this was
also
his
his
first role
first roll
after.
back since the accident, so I
Yeah,
give him a little bit of leeway there. I thought he was fine. I thought he was
I
fine.
thought he did okay. Like I mean,
Yeah,
I don't have a critical eye when it comes to acting stuff for the most part. But I mean, if you're
right. But he
expecting
doesn't like
Hawkeye,
pull
like
you out
Sally
of. He
Adams,
doesn't pull you out of the movie or anything.
yeah, he didn't lose me. The one I'm kind of disappointed in, but it's just for personal reasons. I didn't know Kerry Washington smoked. Disappointing, man.
Does she really though?
Yeah, I googled it. She does.
Oh, okay.
I had to Google it. I had to Google it afterwards, and yeah, she does.
I was gonna say because I mean, like some of these things they would just have like fake cigarettes or whatever. So I don't I'd never know on that end of it.
Yeah, I had to Google that afterwards, and I was like, because like I know like when Michael Clark Duncan did Kingpin for was it Daredevil,
Yeah.
like he didn't smoke at all, so they had like herbal cigars for him to use,
Oh, okay.
right? Um, and people who do or don't smoke, like they like I said, they can work around the fake ones or they have herbal ones or stuff like that. But I was like, I do, and I was like, oh, god damn it.
A lot of Hollywood types do. I guess it's distress or something, but there's so many celebrity crushes I had that then kind of like, oh man, I wish they didn't smoke.
Yeah, I Google's that sometimes like this. Does
Yeah,
so and so actor smoke? And then it's
and you get
like,
a little bummed out. You get a little
yes,
bummed
god
out.
damn it.
um, okay, here's some cool things that I think are. One of them is definitely a reference to Knives Out. The other one may not be a reference to Glass Onion, but I wanted to say these. Uh, Mila Kunis's character, Chief Geraldine Scott,
We got to
says
talk
that
about her.
says that she is thankful that Detective Elliot gave her Blanc's number. Elliot is Lakeith Stanfield's character from Knives Out. So I guess somehow he knows Geraldine Scott and said, "Hey, my buddy Benoit can look into this for you," and I think that's a cool reference. The other one is Blanc pulls out an iPad at some point, and he won an iPad from Edward Norton's character for solving the dinner murder mystery in Glass Onion. So Uh, Again, don't know if that one is specifically a reference, but I think that's pretty fun if it is.
It might be. I didn't because I hadn't watched those in years, so like I couldn't tell you
Yeah.
unless there was like a very blatant reference. Like I would have missed any of those. Um, Mila Kunis, fine actress, no issues with her. I just can't see her as the sheriff or police chief in this town. I don't know.
I didn't really I don't think it was anything with her. I did not like her character because she is so like gung ho on arresting our main character essentially. So
I,
I
I
was
can
and
get
then
behind that because the evidence that she's
yeah,
seeing, everything is kind of pointing to that
but
person,
like
right? So like I'm
yeah.
not against that. I just and it has nothing to do with like I'm not picturing Meg there, right, from The Voice. So that's not it. I'm not picturing Jackie because she was like 15 or something when she started doing that 70s
Wow,
show
yeah.
back in the day. Like she actually
Yeah,
had to
'cause
lie. She's talked about she had to lie about her age.
she's only in her
Um,
early I think early 40s right now or something.
um,
She's not old.
no, but when she started, maybe mid to late 30s or something. But like, because like I say, I think she was really young. She was like 15 or something. She said when 15 or 16 when she started doing that 70s show,
She's
and she had to lie
42
about it.
now.
Um, but I don't know. I can't see her as like this authority figure of like a sheriff or a police chief. And maybe that's just a me issue. Like I will 100% get behind that. Like it's nothing against her. She's done great in plenty of roles that she's done, but that kind of threw me for a loop because I knew she was in this and I wasn't sure what her role
Yeah.
was. And then I saw her with like these stars on her shoulder as like the police chief, and I was like, I don't know about this.
um
To me, like a police chief or a sheriff needs to be a little more weathered, whether it's a
like a little
man
older.
or a woman, right? They need because like for most places, like sheriff is an elected position, but you still have to have a lot of police experience. Your police chief is probably one of, if not your most senior person, right? He's got to be up there. So I just maybe they could have threw some makeup on there to make her look a little more older, a little older, and like
Mhm.
she had been through a little more, and maybe that would have worked it. I don't know, but I was just like, she looks like she's 27. Like I can't get behind her as like the police chief of this town.
So this revolves around a Catholic church and a couple priests. Did you grow up Catholic at all, or
No,
or
I
different
did not.
religion?
Not really. Went to some things as a kid. Never really got into it. Got in religion later with an ex-wife, but fell out of it again. So kind of
Yeah,
more just agnostic myself.
I grew up Catholic. I consider myself agnostic now. Um, but I feel like this movie really handled just some really wonderful things with where we're at currently with religion and how I just think Father Judd is such a good example of what a Catholic is supposed to be. And then you have that juxtaposed with, Monsignor Jefferson Wicks, who is like the example of what, you're not supposed to be. And how that kind of conflicts um in our lives while we are there was things that turned me off from the religion of being hypocritical, which is pointed out in this movie when Jefferson Wicks hates his mom and they call her the harlot whore, and for having a child out of wedlock while he has a child out of wedlock. And it's just this, and
He's
he has
hiding that he's
no
still drinking, and
he has no regrets about that, like at all. And when they confront him about it, because they're worried about it and how it'll be perceived, he turns it into a "I'm gonna take you all down." Like he's just like this really like egotistical asshole that has this small town under his thumb and has driven away so many people from the church instead of doing what you're supposed to do to bring people
welcoming people into your
into the
flock.
church.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I really liked that, and how Judd is dealing with his thoughts as he's wrestling with, he's sent there as almost like a punishment from punching a deacon that is rude and that most people don't like, and he is set here to kind of have like his, I guess, last chance, and he is getting punished by Jefferson Wicks, who's continuing to do these confessions where he's saying all this real grotesque stuff, telling him how many times he, masturbates and
And how? Like at some point we get to, they don't tell us, but he gets the how where he's like, oh, he used the body soap or whatever.
yeah,
And I'm
which is
just
all a
like,
lie too, right? He says that he found some medical paperwork that says Jefferson Wicks can't even get like
an
an
erection, yeah.
erection anymore. So he's really just, you know, being a dick to this guy to just kind of put him in his place, and
I'll
doesn't
say
let him
this
do anything
though,
with the church.
I was definitely on the father's side when after the first confession he went to go, like Wicks put his hand out to go shake his hand.
Yeah,
And
and he didn't want to shake it.
it's literally like right after he told him about, like how many times he
Yeah,
masturbated over the last couple of weeks. And he's just kind of there looking at it. And I'm the same way. Like, I don't want to shake your hand right now. I don't know where that hand's been in the last couple of hours. Like,
right. You just told me how many times you did this. I don't know if I want to shake your hand. Um, but we get, just him going through these paces here and almost losing himself until he has that really great phone conversation with Louise at the what she works at, like the excavator place, whatever they rent equipment from or
yeah,
whatever. And it starts out as like this really
he's just
humorous,
trying to get
relatable
information. And he's just
customer
trying to get,
service
yeah, he's just
call.
trying to get the information because he's got to go because they're in the middle of this murder investigation. But he realizes he actually needs him as a priest at that moment. So
Yes.
his duties
Yes.
take over. And then he kind of has like this epiphany and this change of heart at that time.
Yeah, where he says, like he's kind of alludes to him losing himself and being so focused on his innocence and being selfish in that moment that he really needed that call with Louise to kind of put everything in perspective of how he's supposed to be handling
Look,
uh
I'm
people.
not a religious person. I don't know much about the Catholic faith. But when you're being looked at for murder, I think it's kind of fair to be a little selfish at time to try and prove that you didn't murder anybody. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't know. Maybe
No,
that
I
goes against
agree.
some
I agree.
tenets of the religion, and it very well could. I can't say because that's not my thing. But I think it's more than fair to
I don't remember this coming up in the Bible, but I will say that Catholic guilt is a very real thing, and I wouldn't be shocked if Father Judd is dealing with that. Not guilt in the sense of um,
he killed a guy, but like,
killing the guy, but Catholic guilt in the sense of, am I doing everything I should be doing as a member of this church and being a priest when I'm so focused on myself? So there is I think there is a little bit of that, because my wife is not Catholic. She was raised in like a Lutheran household, so it is different. And I didn't realize how different that stuff was until we started going out, because if I reference stuff about like Catholicism, I say, "Oh, that's a sin." She's like, "In Catholicism, it's a sin. It's not like in the Lutheran church." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's weird." And she keeps mentioning like my Catholic guilt at times and stuff, but I'm like, "That's how I was raised. Like that's the church I
right.
went to, so I understand kind of like where this is, coming from in this story."
So what did you think of when I forget her name, Glenn Close's character, kind of gave the story of the harlot whore about how she was, she had this, she had her son out of wedlock, and he was the heir to whatever fortune that the previous priest had. But then the priest died and didn't tell anybody where this fortune was. So she was angry and upset and destroyed the church in a fit of rage to because she wasn't she didn't get anything from the will. or she ain't anything left to her, and then she starts punching this child,
Yeah.
which later we find out was probably a little bit justified. Like, I'm not saying you need to
Oh
beat
yeah, yeah. It
kids,
was. It was.
but I'm saying if I was her under those circumstances, I might punch a kid in the face. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying it's right, but I understand. Yeah, the kid probably deserved a couple punches in the face.
I think I'd be scared too when I'm punching a kid if they're laughing the way she was. It's like, okay, maybe I'm gonna stop now. I don't know what this person's getting out of it, but uh, I think it's one of those where I almost took it at face value during the first story of it because you're like, okay, maybe this is just
Yeah,
setting up the backstory of
Glenn Close's character is a very like holy, pious woman too, right?
yeah, and not just that too, but maybe setting up Jefferson Wicks's backstory as being like he's risen from this. We didn't know what his character was like while we're learning a lot of this stuff, you know. Um, but then it keeps circling back around to calling her a, that poor girl, and people kind of questioning it. That then the question comes in, and I love that we get the scene twice. You know, we get it once through the falsified image of what happened,
And then we get the truth.
and then we get the truth. And they're actually both exactly the same. It's just that the context was missing on what she's doing. And when we learn the truth, she's looking for
Yeah,
the thing in there. She's not just going nuts and breaking everything. She's looking for the specific diamond, which is the or gem. I don't know if it's a diamond, but
the
um
apple of Eve and Eve's apple or whatever. Yeah,
yes. She's looking specifically for that. And what causes her to punch little Martha is her saying,
I know
you know,
where it is, and you'll never
you'll
find it.
never find it, you know.
Yeah, I got to punch you in the face after that one.
But I just also love the way it's shot. Like if we're going to add this here, like I have an image here of it, like um for some of this stuff too, in this scene, they have a red
It's
tint.
beautiful. Yeah,
That is done in camera. Ryan Johnson was showing some stuff today about it where they took like colored plastic and
gels.
taped it to the lens.
Yeah, gels. They're called
Yeah.
gels. I've used them for my photography stuff, and you can add tints to it and various other things.
Yeah, and some of the shots, where it'll be like half like uh cover in a color and half not was, them putting in a specific spot of the frame and taping it to the lens. And he's been sharing images of how that looks like, and what they were doing back there. But um they kind of have this look as if in some of these shots of like filming through, you know the windows with the what are these called, like the stained glass windows.
Yeah,
They have shots where it looks like filming through that. And I think the movie itself is just,
it's shot very well.
it is like probably the most beautiful of the Knives Out movies.
I will say that picture right there that you have on the screen right now, that small bedroom with that stained
Yeah.
glass window and the radiator, that room probably gets cold as shit during the wintertime.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That radiator is not heating up that entire room.
It
That dude is
reminds
going to be
me
freezing up there.
of my great grandmother's house because they had one of those radiators, and just like climbing the steps to like this type of room just looks so familiar to me. My great grandmother is very religious, so she would have she would probably have some of that stuff on the wall, but it just looks so old school. It just looks really good. That's probably also just on a soundstage, but it looks great.
Yeah. That church has no Wi-Fi probably, and
Yeah, yeah.
um, that town probably is just now getting high-speed internet.
Yeah, well, we know that some of the characters like the internet. Here's one of my favorite bits, Casey, is when Cy is mentioning all the GOP talking points he tried when he was a politician, and he goes through like a long list that takes probably about a good minute to go through. And I laughed so much during this, and then would like stop laughing and then start laughing again because it just kept going. because these are all literal talking points they use. This is not exaggerated, and it just shows
Yeah.
how silly it is and how much stuff they peddle. So I really enjoyed that.
So we've known each other for a very long time.
Yes. Almost
Almost
10.
almost a decade now. Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Um you know my hatred for Mateo from Superstore.
Yeah.
Um this dude surpassed my hatred for Mateo from Superstore. This actor did so well that I just totally despise. By the end of the movie, I just I like Mateo's been bumped down. This is I don't know if it's gonna take a lot to top this. I despise this person mainly because of all that. But it was he did such a good job with it.
Yeah, I thought he was a great actor, and it's one of those things where, you know, I think my biggest problem with the character, not like as a bad thing to the movie, but just saying like the character is so hateable because he's doing this stuff for the notoriety and like just for becoming famous. He doesn't actually seem to believe in a lot of this stuff.
Well,
It's because
neither does the guy who's the writer.
right, right. Which is very much like he kind of has like the Dilbert cartoon creator track, right? Where he uh they said he used to be so smart and so funny and stuff, and he is now like so withdrawn and just continues to
But if
spout
you
talking
look at
points.
him at the end, like when he after he's got his book right, and he's doing his book
Mhm.
signing, and he looks up at his he looks up at the crowd of people that are there, and you could tell like he's disgusted. I don't know if
Well,
he's
you know why?
disgusted by what he's become or he's disgusted at the crowd that he has for the book signing. But like you can tell, like he's just utterly disgusted at what's happened and where
Well,
he's
because
at in life.
I saw somebody talking about this, and I think at first it kind of went over my head because uh in that line when we're seeing that Judd is talking over voiceover, talking about karma or something about
Yeah,
how stuff like that. At the beginning of the movie, when they're talking about this writer, played by Andrew Scott, uh, he talks about how all of his fans of his sci-fi or whatever he writes, right, are people that dress like John Goodman's character in The Big Lebowski. And then at the end, he was trying to break away from that fan base. But at the end, when he's
that's
signing
all
his
he
books,
has.
all those people are dressed like John Goodman in The Big Lebowski. So it's like he still has the same fans. He did not gain anything from doing what he's done. So that's little fun there. Um, what else was I gonna say about? Oh yeah, but like Psy is continuing to try to like really push this stuff where he's getting the Monsignor involved with, he's streaming him or putting up clips to him on YouTube trying to get like the cult of personality that he did not have to be able to latch on to Jefferson Wick's cult of personality that he thinks he has to try to spread all of this.
I obviously don't agree with what he was believing or saying, but I
Yeah.
can understand what he's doing. Like he couldn't make it, himself, right?
Right.
And there's any number of reasons why. It could come down to the color of his skin. It could come down to maybe he didn't have the cult of personality that obviously someone
Mhm.
like Wicks did. It could be a combination. It could be many other things. Um, but he has the knowledge, so if I can't do it myself, maybe I can be the puppet master behind it, right? Like the story goes when George W. Bush was running for president and he was trying to figure out who he needed for vice president, right? He hired Dick Cheney to he hired Dick Cheney to find him a vice president. Dick Cheney took his money, he did a bunch of research, and then was like,
It's
I'm gonna
me.
be a vice president. So once again, not saying I agree with all that, but I can see what he's doing. Like, okay, okay, you know how they say like in baseball, like usually some of the best managers are people who were catchers previously,
Yeah, yeah.
right? And like if you go to like basketball or sometimes football, like your so basketball, prime example, your superstars very rarely make great coaches. Like Larry Bird is an exception, but he only did it for a few years.
Right.
Anybody else who was a superstar, who is like this top level player, usually don't make a great coach because everything comes so easy for them that when
Hmm.
they're trying to explain it, it's like they can't explain how to do it. They're like, just do what I did, do it. But
Right.
they can't break it down. But then you get these role players or people who didn't come up to superstar levels who are able to relate to other people, and they make these great coaches. Steve Kerr,
Yeah.
the Golden State Warriors, prime example. He was a good player in the NBA. I remember seeing him play when he was on the Bulls and various other teams. Right, he was not an all star. He was not. He was a good 3-point shooter, but he was not an all star. He was not like an all NBA player. And then he is now one of the better coaches in the league and in league history. Like he's able to read the players. So like maybe it's the same thing. Like he couldn't accomplish these things. He couldn't be that point. But he sees this guy has a charisma that it's not for everybody, but the people who will follow him literally to hell. They'll go all the way with it. So if you can ride that out, like I don't doubt if he would have gotten his way, this that in that world, that dude could have been like a senator or a president
Right.
or within like 4 to 6 years or something. Like that shit could have happened. It's happened twice already. Like
Yeah.
that could have happened.
There is also just showing how out of touch Psy is as well, where he says we find out he is the son of Jefferson Wicks, but he says he wanted to kind of like rule like father and son. This is a reference to the Darth Vader stuff, and
Like the
Judd
Empire.
says like in Star Wars, and he says, "Yeah, like the rebels," and it's like, okay, you totally misread that whole
Right,
movie.
that right there was like, okay, that moved him way above Mateo. That's when I was like, okay, I am done with you. Like you
Yeah,
have no hope. At least like with Mateo, like when he didn't know any pop culture things that were out of his realm, like he kind
right.
of just admitted he knew. Like he was just like, well, it's not my thing. But like, yeah, I was like, nope, that's it. You have gone way too far, and I will hate you for life.
um. Okay, so I wanted to share this. Did you notice this in the movie as it was going on? There's a scene in the woods with um Blanc and Judd here,
In the
and
back with
in the
with the
background,
lantern.
yeah,
Yes, I did. I saw that.
dude. When I
It's kind of
saw
hard to
that,
miss the lantern.
yeah, well, my friend Jack did miss this.
Really?
So yes, um, it starts out, I think, where he's coming from the left to the right, right? So
Yeah.
like you're
There's,
focused on the two main characters, and then you start seeing the lantern, and you're like, I like sat up in my chair, like, oh my god, something's going on back there, because this is still before like we don't really know anything at this point other than that he was killed. Like the and at this point it was so hard to figure out how it happened, right? It is a
yeah.
very locked room mystery. The books that they share in the book club are very good examples of like locked room mysteries. Murders of the Rue Morgue by Edgar Allan Poe is one that has a locked room mystery, and then also the Agatha Christie Murder of Roger Ackroyd is one of the best Poirot novels, and I would say if you don't know anything about it, Casey, I would recommend reading or listening to the audiobook of that, because the none of the film versions or TV show versions of that can do it justice. Because there's just no way they can, with the way that it's told in the way that it's done in the book is hard to translate to to movies. For anybody listening out there who have not read Murder of Roger Ackroyd, I definitely recommend it. It's one of the best. Um, but yeah, so I really like too that they call out a lot of those stories in here, because locked room mysteries are probably some of my favorite of the whodunits, because how can it happen, right? Like you're sitting there that whole movie, like how could anything have happened in this small little area when we see that nothing
Yeah,
had
we were
happened,
watching.
right?
We were watching exactly what happened. Like,
Right. Um, they do a little twist with it being like, obviously the drinking and the and uh, and Judd hiding that. So I guess kind of what was your thoughts on that when Blanc gets done reading the letter and says like, "Why'd you do it?" Did you think at that point that Judd had killed him, or did you think there was another twist there with it?
I knew there was another twist. I honestly didn't think at any point that the father, that Judd had done any of the murders.
Right.
I didn't know what Blanc was talking about at all.
Yeah, I think they
Um,
want us to kind of have that like, is he talking about that? And then like as they continue talking, obviously, we learn that that's not what it is. What he did was hide the flask.
I will say, I one person I didn't trust through most of the movie was Martha. Something for
Yeah.
me was just off. Um, I thought she was having an affair with the gardener or the groundskeeper.
Well, I think they were married, right? Or
I
were
don't
they
know.
together? I
I
think
don't
they were
know.
together.
I, I, I don't know because like we obviously saw him hit her on the butt as she walked by. Um,
Yeah.
but I thought maybe that was like a hidden type thing. Like the father wasn't supposed to see that. That's just the just I could be way wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know, just the way she was reacting to his death and everything. I just thought that they
definitely thought there was at least an affair going on between. I don't know if affair is the right word. Thought there was something going on between them, but I wasn't sure.
yeah, they don't have the same last name, so maybe they were not officially together. I thought they lived together and were a couple. That's the vibe I got.
I
It
didn't think it
says
was a
Martha.
couple because I
Okay, Wikipedia says Martha's lover is Samson, which is Thomas Hayden
yeah
Church. But
I thought maybe that was like a secret type thing because he lived out on the ground, like he lived somewhere probably in the church. He lived on the grounds crew in a little cabin out there,
right,
right? So I thought maybe I don't. Once again, I don't know about how the Catholic religion works. I don't know if she was allowed to have
she
sex
should
or
she should
anything.
be able to because she's just a. Well, I mean, technically, she's not supposed to have sex outside of
Marriage.
marriage, but
Yeah.
if they were, I mean, I guess all you have to do is, in the eyes of Catholicism, all you have to do is give a confession and you're forgiven. So, I mean,
Yeah. Um.
she goes to church all the time. She could just tell Jefferson, I had sex out of marriage, and he'd be like, okay.
Okay. So we he tries to start the Bible study thing, right? Which they
Yeah.
think is a coup that he's trying to take over the church. I don't know if it was or wasn't. I think he was genuinely just trying to get something else going. I don't think he was necessarily trying to have some sort of a coup.
Yeah. I think he's just trying to show a different way that church can be done instead of this out of fear that
Yeah,
Jefferson has been doing.
the ruling with Iron Fist or whatever.
Yes.
I like the conversation he had with Martha, where when at some point when he asked, "Could you confess your worst sins to the Monsignor, to Wicks?"
Right.
She says yes, and then later, not too long after, we see her leaving the confession booth. She's very shook up about what she has just confessed. Wicks comes out. He is shook up based on what he heard.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there was some hanky panky going on in the confession booth. I don't know. I wasn't sure what. Like,
Yeah. I
because I
didn't know.
wasn't sure
I don't know what I
what.
thought during that,
I was gonna
honestly.
say, what were you thinking after that whole confession booth thing? When, like, obviously something transpired in that
Yeah.
booth. and the only people who are meant to know are those two. We don't find out till later exactly what it was. But what
Yeah.
were your thoughts after that of like, oh, what just happened in there?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think back to what I would have possibly thought that would have been, because now it seems so obvious. Now it seems so obvious that I'm like, why, like, what was I thinking other than just like, oh, that's a little weird look there, or oh, he's kind of maybe because at this point nobody had died yet either. So you're kind of thinking like,
And for anybody who doesn't know, if you haven't watched it and you're listening to the spoilers, let's just put it out there. She confessed to Father Wicks that she knew where his
yeah,
father's treasure was. She knew what it was and she knew where it was. And she confessed to the story she told earlier about peeking through the door and seeing his father collapse um, wasn't truthful. That she actually came in. Wicks's father had known that greed was like the root of what was gonna like tearing everything down. So he had this massive jewel that was called Eve's apple, this big pink diamond or whatever it was, and he swallowed it and basically killed himself. And that was his way of keeping that treasure so that greed wouldn't consume everybody and it wouldn't, people wouldn't be coming after this because he knew his the harlot whore was waiting for him to die so she could get this jewel, right? But it, he swallowed it, which my thought was there not an autopsy done? Like what happened here?
um,
Because then an autopsy, like they pull everything out. Like they're gonna open up your stomach contents, and if they see something in your
yeah.
throat, they're gonna pull that stuff out. I've watched enough procedurals to know at least that. Like, so I mean, I don't know how that
I think you can request a non-autopsy though.
you can request that an autopsy is not done.
Right.
You can request it to not be done under, say, religious reasons as well. I
So
know there are certain
okay.
religions where you have to be buried within a certain amount of time, but an
Right.
autopsy would take that out. So there was I want to say it was Chicago Hope. I watched a brief bit of an episode, right, where there was a guy getting a heart transplant, and they're rushing this heart into this guy. The guy who has the heart trips, and the heart comes out of a little bucket with ice and slides across the floor. They pick the heart up, they put it back in the guy, right,
Hmm.
and he lives for a day or two, and then he dies. Um, so the hospital, knowing that they might be on the hook for what happened because the heart wasn't necessarily totally sterile, that could be the reason as to why the transplant didn't take.
Mm.
And if I remember correctly, the character was Jewish. And I believe in the Jewish religion, you have to be buried within a certain amount of time. Like that's just how the religion goes. But the autopsy would not, if they perform the autopsy, that would have he would not have been able to be buried properly within that amount of time. So the hospital's lawyers were using that basically against his family to say, well, if you want to find out why he died, like you need to have the autopsy. And unfortunately that's gonna so like the lawyer the lawyer was doing his job in protecting the hospital and finding legal loopholes to allow the hospital to skirt for any responsibility they could have possibly had. But he was kind of dirty in doing it. Like it's unethical. I don't think it's immoral. Well, I think it's unethical. It's probably immoral. Probably not illegal. I don't know the legalities on that, and I'm not sure exactly how that turned out. But I just remember that from like watching a brief thing of like Chicago Hope, and I was like, Jesus Christ, man! Like,
My thought is, if the story that Martha has been telling this whole time of seeing him collapse has been what she's been saying the whole time, I would assume that then when he did die and the authorities come, she is called it, like she says she witnessed this, and maybe they just think we don't even need an autopsy at this point. or
I
like the
would.
family waives it, or
That was gonna be my
whatever.
question. Like,
That's kind of my thing.
I don't know what kind of family he has. Like, they didn't really kind of. He was an older gentleman, so I can't imagine
Right. I think he only
his.
had Grace and Jefferson, who at that point.
Yeah, and so Grace is probably they're probably not going to go with anything with what she wants, right? Like, they don't really
Right.
trust her. She's the harlot whore, remember? So like they're not gonna.
Or maybe it's
But
in his. Maybe he updated his will before this. It says, "I don't want an autopsy."
I don't know,
I'm
but
not.
like that's just something that struck me of like
Yeah.
they could have like this could have been solved easily because they could have found that during an autopsy.
Did you
Like,
know it was? Did you know it was in there before
no.
that? Because I kind of figured it had something to do with his stomach when Blanc takes a look at the other body in the
So
uh thing, and you see he stares at the stomach a bit like like almost like he could tell it was disturbed recently or something.
so I got that. I thought whatever it was, he was buried with it in
Mm.
that he was, but whatever it was, that whatever that treasure was buried in his coffin. It kind of
Right.
was, but I thought whatever it was in that coffin with him. And I got the gist when they talked about how that crypt was made, where it could only be opened from the outside with special tools, and they needed all this excavation equipment, blah blah blah. But the way it was designed was it could be opened with a single push from the inside. So I got
Yeah.
that right off the bat. Like, okay, someone is coming out of that tomb
Yeah.
with the treasure, or
I figured with the name of the movie, Wake Up Dead Man.
honestly, I didn't put that together. But I was like, somebody's going to find a way to get in that tomb. And
Yeah.
I did think that Wicks wasn't dead. I thought maybe there was something, but then I was like, okay, when they did the autopsy on Wicks,
That's
he
the
had
thing.
a
Yeah.
stab wound. Like, he was
And he
stabbed, he
like
was officially dead.
and he they do this very well here in this, where when you're showed the autopsy earlier, you're kind of wondering, do they have to go this far with Blanc shaking him and slapping him? Yes, because they wanted to prove to the viewer that
He
he
is
was
dead.
dead. He is
He
dead, dead,
dead.
dead.
Like, yeah, he is not alive. So
Uh,
like that.
yeah, that way you're thinking the whole time, like, how did he come out of there? And you know what? The Thomas Hayden Church looked pretty good posing as him, honestly. Like, he had kind of the same sort of facial hair stuff going on.
The makeup department, everything did great.
Yeah.
Like, set dressing, that was fantastic. Did not see
He's
that
always
twist
listening
coming.
always listening to a Cubs game in upstate New York for whatever reason, but
I'd say possibly. So we talked about this before. In the 80s, 90s, there were two superstations. Uh,
yeah.
TBS in Atlanta, you could always watch a Braves game. Superstation WGN out of Chicago, you could always watch a Cubs game. Like,
Yep.
I lived in upstate New York. At one point, I was a Mets fan. I stopped being a Mets fan after they could not hit 6'4", 250-pound Roger Clemens, and they failed at that mission. And that is literally, I literally stopped being a Mets fan when they threw at him and threw behind him and could not hit him. I was officially done. I said, I'm done with the Mets, and I
There's a
haven't
lot of
looked back
Mets
at them since.
fans upset this week because Pete Alonso is now an Oriole. So I'm an excited guy. But yeah, go
But
ahead.
so like even as a kid, I watched a lot of Cubs and Braves games because
Yeah, I used to watch Braves.
before,
They were like my National League team because they were always on TV. I could flip
yeah,
on a game and watch
you
them.
could all you could always at any point in time you could always guarantee to turn on TBS and either watch a Braves game or like Andy Griffith.
Yeah. That circles us back to Matlock. Um, the Oh yes, so Thomas Hayden Church. I loved having him in this movie. I really like
He
Thomas
was
Hayden
another good one in his role. Like, there
since
wasn't
Wings.
there wasn't too much of him, right?
Yeah,
Um,
the sad thing is there's not a lot of some of these characters. I feel like we didn't get to really see anything of Simone, who is the disabled concert cellist. Didn't get a lot of her. Played by Kaylee Spenny. That was my first movie I've seen her in, but I
Yeah,
didn't really get to see a lot of her. I felt like we got probably enough time with Psy. Probably didn't get too much of Lee. I thought Kerry Washington was great in this too. I thought
she was fantastic,
she was
except for the
great.
smoking. Yeah.
Yeah, she just wasn't in it as much as I'd probably want her to be. But
And I think that's, I don't want to say that's a problem, but that's maybe an issue you have when you have a big cast like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is, you know, sometimes like you have to figure out how, especially depending where they might be on the call sheet
Mhm.
and where their names might be on the marquee and stuff, right? You got to figure out like how much and where to put them and how to place them and stuff like that. Like, so it's going to be interesting to see with as stacked of a cast as like Avengers Doomsday is, right? How
Oh yeah,
much are you getting?
27 people.
How much are you getting of all of these different characters, right? Because it's a lot of people. Some
Yeah.
people might only be in there for like 2 minutes. Some people might get 22 minutes of screen time. But like, how do you work all that out? You know?
Yeah. One of the other actors in this is called Noah Segan, and he is actually a frequent collaborator with Rian Johnson. He appeared in Knives Out as Trooper Wagner, and in Glass Onion he was Daryl, the guy living on the island with Edward Norton's character that would just kind of show up in the background a lot and had long hair. And in this, he was the bar owner Nikolai. So
Okay, so let's talk about the bar.
yeah, with the wolf lamps.
Did you did you get what you were supposed to be seeing in the picture the first time or no?
The first time, no, and I think I knew I was missing it at that time too, because when he points at the when Judd points at the bag and thinks, "Oh, that means that
Yeah,
the doctor's here."
Blanc
Blanc
was like,
did not look like that's what he was
yeah, that's
looking at.
yeah. I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be seeing. I knew it wasn't necessarily the bag.
Because my eye is drawn to the first lamp and I kept looking at that like, what am I missing? What am I missing?
Yeah,
And it's right there. It's right there at the other lamp.
I'll be honest. It's going to be interesting to see whenever I do a rewatch of this to see
Yeah.
if I can pick it up that second time. Um, but yeah, like I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be looking at because even the bartender even did like the same exact pose, and I'm like,
Yes, I thought that was
what
funny.
am I missing? Like, I don't know what I'm looking at here. Like, point me in the right direction, guys. The bag. And Blanc was just like, okay, sure, whatever. But I was like, we're not supposed to be looking at the bag. You played me, sir. You played me very well. You
That's what
gave
I
me
love
misdirection,
about
and I fell for it.
that's what I love about those detective characters though, that like they just keep everything so close to their chest that like when Judd gets that wrong, he's just kind of like, yeah, let him figure that out. I got this in the back of my head now that I can pull out when we're doing the denouement at the end of the thing. What'd you think of him stopping in the middle of his denouement and letting knowing that Glenn Close's character Martha, he kind of learned something from Judd here of you know, letting it play out like kind of the way it has to instead of I forget the word that they use. It's like letting them take accountability
Yeah.
for it, right? Then instead of
Also, also he was able to recognize that she was about to die.
yes. Yeah, he noticed her lips from the poison that she had also given to Jeremy Renner's character. Uh
Okay, so before we get to the reveal, what
yeah.
did you think about that of her knowing that she was going to be double crossed and double crossing him after she dropped the jewel? Did you see that coming?
I did. I did think when she's sitting there drinking that she
I
had
did
switched
not.
the cups. I didn't know if it was like she had already switched them or if it was something like she was going to distract him another way to then switch him, but then we see that she had already done it from, like you said, distracting him with dropping the diamond.
I will say, because I was curious when that whole thing played out, and they showed like once he realized like, oh shit, I just ingested poison myself. See, this is where the Princess Bride comes in. Like she should have been like the Dread Private Roberts, and he should have been ingesting some of it so he
Yeah.
could build up a tolerance, right? That way he could put him in both cups. You're good to go. But he goes upstairs. That's how the apartment gets wrecked or whatever, right? Cool. Okay. And then I was like, how the hell did she get him downstairs? And you see, she just kind of threw him downstairs. And his
Yes,
body
I
just
love
like,
that. Just slid him down there.
because I was like, how is this old lady gonna get this dude downstairs? And then they showed it, and I was like, that works. I'll buy that.
Yeah, at this point, I was still wondering, like, obviously that Wicks had not come back to life, but she poses the body to be almost like choking Renner in the tub, and then fills it up with like what, acid or some
Yeah,
sort of
I think it's that some sort of
corrosive
acid.
material. Uh, Again, that scene looked really cool too when the water starts draining and you have like the skull coming up and
He sees his
in
wedding ring.
green, and yeah, you see the ring that uh he's been fidgeting with since his wife left. Um but I was did you know it was gonna be her? Did we discuss that yet? I was at this point still kind
No,
of trying to figure out who
I,
it could have been.
she was a suspect of mine from the get go because, like I said, I had something
They're
seemed
all
off about
suspects,
her.
right?
Yeah, but like something was off about her, but I never, I until the reveal, I wasn't like I had needle in on her like at any point, like oh she did this shit. Like it wasn't until the reveal where she came back in and she
Yeah.
needed to confess, and then I was like, oh, and so I have a question about this confession. Okay, there are two people that when you talk to, your information is privileged with them.
Hmm.
Your lawyer, an attorney, and or your priest when you give confession. Like they cannot, a priest cannot break that sacred vow
Right.
or sacrament or whatever it is without being defrauded, no matter what the crime is. So let's hypothetically say Glenn Close and Martha did not die.
Hmm.
Would that confession have been able to be allowed? Because
If
she was there to give that confession to her priest, to the father. Now, shouldn't have been Sheriff Mila Kunis was there, right?
yeah,
So she was able to hear this. But so once again, this is my weird brain kicking in of like, I wonder if that confession could be allowed in court or not, because technically she's giving her confession to the priest. So that should have been privileged information.
but so
How does that work?
so I think the way that it works is they don't have to give confession in the booth. So if she wanted to have it private and if she was going to live, I would assume she would have been able to tell Judd, I want to take my confession in the booth. At this point, she knows she's dead, so she's just saying it in front of everybody.
Yeah.
She doesn't really care. But I think if she was going to live, she would have done it inside the booth, and we wouldn't have Blanc or the chief there to overhear it. If she still did it in front of them and they overheard it, I think it could be actionable because she had the chance to pull them aside. And I mean, these people are overhearing it in a wide open
I
place.
don't know, maybe, but giving a confession, maybe there's an expectation of privacy to that. Like, this is one of those legal things, like, maybe it's
Well, if
come up
anybody
at some
knows,
sort
let us know.
in maybe it's come up in some sort of case law before. I don't know. So, like, okay, you know who Chris Hansen is, right?
Yes, yeah.
The guy from The Catch Predator. He's still doing that 20 some odd years later. He's still going out there catching pedophiles on the internet. God bless him. Right? And a lot
Yeah.
of people, when he's still doing his things and he goes in and people are coming into this house, right? And whatever house he has set up. And one of the things that when they talk about, oh, I don't want to be filmed, you can't film me. And I'm sure he has gone through this many times with legalese through MSNBC when he was doing it, and various other legal experts and lawyers and all this other stuff about where you're coming into a private residence. So there is no expectation. There's like you have no expectation of privacy coming into someone else's residence,
Right, right.
right? So you can say you don't want to be on camera. You're not granting a request, but you're committing a felony, you're committing a crime. You don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy in someone else's home. So it's just one of those things. Like as I was watching that, as that went on, I was just curious, like, what? Because sheriff goes out there and she's like, get an ambulance. So okay, they're trying to get people in there to maybe save her, right? Cool.
Right, right.
What if somehow they manage to save her? Like, that's a legal thing of like yes, she confessed to many crimes and all of this, but is it possible that maybe those crimes, like that confession, could not have been allowed, and they would have tried to had to go on evidence that all the evidence doesn't point to her in any way, shape, or form? Like that's all they have to go on.
Right, right. Yeah, I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that. You can let
That's
us
just
know.
my weird lizard brain overthinking things. Like I wonder.
No, because I think at this point she is just obviously if they had brought her back to life, she probably just kills herself. I would assume again, because it. I mean I don't know. There is at this point when she's doing this, she obviously knows she's gonna die. But I do
Yeah,
think she's also just like she's such a Catholic, a lifelong Catholic. It is I must confess my sins
yeah.
before
Before I die,
I
I have
die.
to be absolved of my sins.
Right. So
Um,
she's just
so
what part broke my heart though is the
she
I
held
confess
on. She didn't want to confess. She didn't want to.
yeah,
She didn't want to let go of the hatred for his
for
mom, though.
grace. Yeah, but
Yeah,
when she says I confess to the wrong priest, which again circles back to Father Judd asking her, "Can you um
yeah. Can
tell him
you?
your worst sin?" And she thought she could trust him like that they had such a relationship for years and years and years since they were kids, and she trusted the wrong person and could have just trusted Judd instead, but she, you know, um, had such a hatred for Grace and then also just for kind of outsiders that kind of painted her into a corner.
She was drinking the Kool Aid for sure. Um,
Yeah.
and uh, father there, Judd. I guess he kind of eventually he realized he had to give her their last rites and
Yeah.
um do that because she wasn't asking for it, but she was, and
Mhm.
um that's like as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, he needs to give her the last rites before she goes. Otherwise,
Yeah.
once again, I don't know how that works in the Catholic belief system of like if she doesn't manage to get all of her sins out and I don't even exactly know what the last rites are, right? I just know that's something that is given when someone is about to go.
Yeah, on their deathbed.
Yeah, and I knew if she wasn't forgiven, I believe like she wouldn't be allowed into the gates of heaven or whatever. That's like that would kind of suck. I don't know if she deserved it or not, but not my
Yeah.
place to say. That's out of my realm. I don't know.
So what did you think of obviously she drops the diamond and they both look at each other, Blanc and
Blanc is like, I'm walking away at
he
this
does
point.
this in all 3 movies, and I really like that. So in the first one, you know, Marta is asking, "I should help this family though, right?" And he kinda gives a, I have my opinion, but I think you'll do what
Yeah, you got to do what you're gonna do. I can't get involved in this.
Then in the second one, he gives, he gives, the character, the thing that's very explosive that looks like a piece of glass, and kind of pushes her to, like, do what she's going to do. But he leaves and says pretty much like, "Hey, I would just remind you of what your sister would probably do." And he leaves and lets her just blow that place up. And in this one, when he's just looking at him, he's like, "Well, I'll leave you to it. That's yours. I'm not touching this," type of thing. So I kind of just love that his personality is come in, as he says in the thing, like, if it's a murder, I solve murders, right? So this is like, it's still a murder. Like, I'm going to solve it, type of thing. And that's
I
all he
wonder,
does, really.
I wonder if he got paid for all this. How does that work? Does he send him a
I,
bill? Is he
I
doing this
would
pro bono?
assume I would assume he does some pro bono. I would assume maybe with the fact that the police chief had called him in, there's some sort of uh, consultant fee or something that they're paying him.
Just saying.
Um,
He
they
looks
may
like a
also
well.
say they may also say you helped that guy leave our offices after he was going to confess, so maybe you're not getting that fee.
I'm just gonna say he looks like a very well-to-do Southern
Yeah,
gentleman. Um, I don't think his rates are very cheap. I'm not sure if that small upstate New York town can afford his rates.
yeah. Well, it sounds like it was a favor with the Detective Elliot from Knives Out, so maybe that's they're a little in there too. Little discount, friend
Ten
discount.
percent, 10% off for the friends and family.
But she drops the diamond, and we don't know what happens to it until the very end of the movie.
Oh, I knew
Um,
exactly what happened to it.
you knew it was going to go in the cross, like
Yeah,
a new cover?
when I saw him making, so we go back to the beginning where he sees there's
The missing crucifix.
the missing crucifix on the wall, but you can still see the outline of where it was, and they bring up the they and he's like, I'm a woodworker, like I know I can make a new one. He's measuring it, and that's when Wix is like, no, we're not replacing it. It reminds us of the Harlot Whore, blah blah blah.
Right.
And as he's making the cross, like as you see him cutting the tree and the wood, I was like, oh, that's exactly where that now I wasn't sure where exactly it was going to go. And then when I saw the crucifix and then I saw the image of Jesus on there, I kind of figured out, okay, it's going to be inside there. Like that I saw coming.
I really love this though because you have Sai who's like, if it's used to build a new roof, if you donate it to places, like, I'm gonna be coming for you and the money because it's his, because he's the son and all this kind of stuff. And again, he doesn't even think that maybe this is not going to be used as money, right? Like, that's how his mind works. But
Yeah,
in this, we have this. It is something that was always supposed to be Grace's, and she's been painted as this really character, caricature, evil woman that has been symbolized by the missing crucifix from when she had broke it looking for the diamond. And that's always been her lasting thing. So when Judd makes a new crucifix and puts the diamond in the belly where the previous priest had swallowed it and had it in the same spot pretty much. It's like Grace has finally gotten her inheritance by having it be in the spot that is symbolized of her, wrecking this thing. It's not the only thing too. They actually renamed the church. Did you notice that?
well, what was Our Lady of Perpetual? What was the name first?
The first name was Our Lady of Perpetual Fortitude.
And it was
And
then
they
it turned Our Lady of Perpetual Grace, right?
yes, yeah, so it's named after Grace. And it has the diamond for her in there as well. So I really like that. That is kind of Judd's way of honoring uh, the harlot whore.
I think in general, after all that, when yeah, it's kind of time to start and anew with that church, and let's change the name. Let's fix some things up. Let's get some people back in there, and
Well, it's a nice honor for the name, but also the name really shows the different styles. Fortitude feels like a very like that feels like Jefferson Wick's style.
Yeah.
right? They were fortifying the church, and they were like, we have to use this as like we have to use weapons and stuff against what they're coming for our church. Like we're going to fortify, while Judd is giving them all grace and they're starting over, and it's like a much more welcoming name, I would say too. Anything that we didn't touch on with this? I want to say too, I actually really always like how these Knives Out movies have the painted portraits of the characters at the end. I think that's really cool. Where when it gives all the names of the cast and they're all in their painted portraits. I really like that.
I would say I definitely hope there's more. I don't know how Ryan Johnson and Daniel Craig feel. Um, in general, I mean, Craig has done a lot of he's done a couple franchises now with Bond and um, the Knives Out franchise here. Obviously, the Knives Out franchise is nowhere near as physically demanding, and doesn't take as much of a toll on him as the James Bond franchise does with stunts and gallivanting all over the world, right?
He got to miss, 1/3 of the movie and still make his money, so that's good.
Um, but I like the mystery aspect. I like that. Um, I don't know if they've done any books like Benoit Blanc books.
They
It'd be
haven't, and
interesting to see.
that's something I wanted to bring up actually when I was thinking about it is how have we not had any tie-in novels? Like they have them for Monk and Psych, they have them for Murder She Wrote. Like, how is there no like writer out there who's cranking out Benoit Blanc, 200-page books that I can pick up and read?
Maybe Ryan Johnson has that trademark down and won't let anybody touch it. I mean,
Maybe, but that's a good way to get some merchandising.
I I would like to know some early Ben because like even in Knives Out, he was known was he like the gentleman detective or something? So
They knew him. Yeah, there in each one of these, I believe there's been a reference to a case we have not seen. So in the first one, they mentioned he solved some sort of like tennis star's murder or something with a tennis person. In Glass Onion, they reference when they're meeting him at the dock, they reference another case that is not the one from Knives Out. So there's something there. And then in this one, I thought they referenced a case of his as well
but so
that
like
we hadn't. Yeah.
he's like this world famous detective, right?
Yep. Yeah, they
Like
said he was on The View.
so I would like to I don't know, especially now Daniel Craig's getting a little older. So I don't know if you could go back unless you have CGI to de-age him. Like I'd like to know I'd like to know some early Benoit Blanc cases, right? Like how did he get to be the world famous detective?
Right, right. Yeah, it sounds like the good thing is it sounds like last as of last month they've started kicking around ideas for a fourth one. The question will be who's that going to go to as
Who
a
gets it?
distributor. So, uh the only thing about like this one didn't make as much money in the box office than even Glass Onion because like I said they weren't in any of the big theaters. Do some of the people in charge of another studio say it's not worth it because of the box office results? Or do they look at, let's say, how big this does on Netflix and they say those people would go to the theater to see it and they pay
This
more?
is
Or does Netflix, want more? Like that's kind of the question.
so I will definitely say I think this was released at a perfect time because pretty much most people who are going to be into Stranger Things have already binged all of part one of season
Yes.
5 of
Yeah.
Stranger Things, right? Part two comes out on Christmas Day. So it's got this nice like 2 week period where it's going to be pretty much probably the top of the Netflix charts, um, at least in the US, if not worldwide, probably. So I don't know if Netflix really releases their numbers. I'm assuming they do. for like their top line stuff and everything of how many people view it and if it's the most popular show or movie of this year, that this month, next year, last year, whatever the case is. Um, what what kind of information is released about its Netflix result is going to be interesting too.
Yeah, I mean, I look, I know algorithms and all that kind of stuff, but I've been liking a lot of Knives Out stuff and Wake Up Dead Man stuff on Twitter the last day or two, and I mean, my timeline is flooded with it. So is it that a lot of people are watching it? Is it my algorithm? We'll find out. I guess. I guess let me see right now if I just go on to Netflix. Is it in the top something of?
Oh, I don't think there's any way it's not.
Yeah, I would think it is. But let me just check here. Number.
Top 10 movies on Netflix right
It's
now.
number one. It's number one.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Wait. Uh, okay. Okay. No, this is Tudum by This is not it. This is Tudum by Netflix from 12/1 to 12/7. It's not on there, but it's also not. Uh,
Well, I just went to Netflix. It is currently at number one in the top 10 movies in the U.S. Um, Number two is My Secret Santa. Number three is Hustle with Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson. Number four is Jay Kelly with George Clooney. And number five is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Number six is the hit K-pop Demon Hunters.
that's still
Number
on there.
seven,
Jesus.
yeah, number seven is the original Mean Girls. Number eight is Honest Thief. Never heard of that. Nine is House of Gucci, and 10 is the Mike Myers The Cat in the Hat.
What
What a
in the
wild top 10.
what in the blue hell is going on? If that is number 10, I saw that in the theater. That doesn't even.
No, I'm actually surprised there's only one Christmas movie in the top 10 on Netflix. What is going on? People not in the Christmas mood this year? I don't know.
Well, I mean, as we get closer, maybe it might pop up. I don't know. Um,
But yeah, so it's number one on there. So I'm assuming they're getting good numbers from it so far. It's the weekend of the release. It should be number one, you would think, right? So it seems like it's doing okay that way. And my whole question is, how does Netflix make money? Is kind of my question. There's talk of when if they close the WB deal that they would keep movies in theaters as WB. And I partly agree that they would probably have to at some point, because at some point, even if everybody was subscribed to Netflix, you're only getting the subscription cost. And they do have ad plans now. I don't know how many people are in ad plans compared to non-ad plans, or how much their ad spend is. I don't know how any of that stuff goes. But you were talking about Knives Out probably made a good chunk of change physical release, and it made good money in the theater. It's like you paid 400 million for the rights to these two movies, just for the rights. How are you recouping that just from putting the movie on this? Like, that's kind of where I always question at some point if they buy like DC with WB and they put like the Batman Part 3 on Netflix and it could have made 1 billion in theaters. How are you making up the billion you're missing in theaters by just putting it on streaming if all those people already have the account and watch it? That's kind of what my question is when it comes to these type of things. So we'll
okay,
see.
I got something for you.
Yeah.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, currently has a 92% on the tomato meter, 94 on the popcorn meter, right?
Yes. Yep.
Netflix's 100 best movies right now on Rotten Tomatoes. Where do you think it's ranked?
And it's a top how many?
Netflix's 100 best movies right now.
Oh my god. Is it like number 1 or 2?
No.
Really, for like Rotten Tomatoes, out of Rotten Tomatoes percentage?
Yeah, so Rotten Tomatoes does have a couple. Has Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Most Foul is at 100%. It's number one. Parasite is number two at 99. Godzilla minus one is number three at 99.
Oh, so they're
It-
movies on Netflix, not Netflix
yeah,
originals. Okay,
no
I was
movies
thinking
on
like
Netflix. Yeah,
because I was going to say for as a Netflix original, this is probably some of the highest scores they've had because their movies that are originals are usually like in the low Rotten Tomatoes. But no, where's it at?
take a couple guesses.
10?
Lower, lower. When I say lower, I mean like higher numbers than 10.
Okay, okay. 25,
Lower,
20,
lower.
15.
No, like higher numbers.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So go lower than so higher number than 25.
Yes,
50.
higher.
So now I'm going still
It's
higher.
number it's number 32 at 92%.
Okay, okay, okay.
You know what it is tied with at
No, what is it?
92%? Pulp Fiction.
Oh wow, I can't believe that many people are wrong about Pulp Fiction. But
You say though. Uh Let me see what okay, that's 92 on Rotten Tomatoes. Um
IMDb is 7.6. It was at 7.9 yesterday. It's down 0.3. Metascore is at 81 and Letterbox was 4.0 by the users.
the original Knives Out is at 97 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
Glass Onion is at 91.
Yeah, so they're about in the same ballpark. I'll say though, I think this one is just again so beautiful. How many times like the sun is coming through the windows when he's talking with the father, and then it gets like real cloudy where the sun's not coming through. It's just really well crafted movie. I just very fortunate that this got made. And that we got more than just one Knives Out movie at this point. So even if nothing else happens from this, I am just happy that we got three Knives Out movies.
I just hope we get a box set of all three. If they're not gonna
They
do any
gotta
more,
release these.
put
Oh,
them
they
on,
have.
put them physically out so I can get the other ones too.
Yeah, I know Ryan Johnson said that I think when Glass Onion came out that he hopes to have a physical release because they have like a whole disc worth of special
Oh,
features that
they do.
yeah,
Between stuff like outtakes and bloopers or
yeah,
deleted scenes,
making of
I would really be interested in seeing some of the deleted scenes in this or in Glass Onion.
yeah.
See some other stuff that might have given some different context, or like, oh, maybe they could have, or if I know some people don't like this, if there's a director's cut, maybe a longer cut.
Mhm.
Um, which I mean, at 2 hours and 38 minutes or whatever it is, like I know I know typically like they only have those longer cuts when they're doing stuff's going out in theaters and you need to get it down to around the 2 hour point
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
you can try and get more in. When you go to streaming and you don't necessarily have to have it at like, an hour 45, 2 hours. You can make these longer movies. So I don't know if there would be like a director's cut or whatever, how that would work. But
Yeah,
if there's an unrated version of any of these three, I don't know what that could be, but
yeah. Because these are actually surprised. These are all PG-13.
I never even bothered to look at the rating on them. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure because there's never really a ton of blood.
No,
They're
this is
not
probably the one.
gory.
It's probably the one that had the most blood, just from the
The stabbing.
yeah, from the stabbing. But yeah, not super gory or anything. Um, okay, should we hit the stats?
Let's do it.
All right, so we got a +1 for Ryan Johnson. I do have a movie I want to pick of his later, so I am calculating him in there. Again, top three, the top directors that we've had are three films with James Cameron and Peter Jackson. Top actors, we have a new member. We have two new members of the 4 Film Club. Okay, one is Daniel Craig. Do you know who the other one is?
Jeffrey Wright.
Yes, Jeffrey Wright. Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace, The Batman, which is coming up next week for the listeners, and Wake Up Dead Man. So
But once
Jeffrey,
once I saw him in this, I was like, oh, he's definitely gonna be moving up the list.
and he's in a movie with Daniel Craig again. How fun is that? Or Felix Leiter and James Bond together.
They talked about how I saw one of the things on IMDb. They talked about how Craig's done movies with a couple people a few different times. He did a couple with Anna de Armas.
Yes, No Time to Die and Knives Out.
Knives Out. Dave Bautista.
Yeah, Glass Onion and
Spectre, I think, is the one he did with him.
Bautista's Inspector?
He's in one of the James Bond movies.
Interesting. I might not remember that.
He's in one of them, either Spectre or whatever's after Spectre.
Oh, but Andrew Scott, who plays the writer in this, is also Inspector.
I think I saw that too.
So there you go. There's another
the Jeffrey Wright. He's done movies with Jeffrey Wright. So
interesting. We got a couple more actually here that are added to the +1 for films. We have a +1 for Josh Brolin. You mentioned it earlier, The Goonies and Wake Up Dead Man. We get a +1 for Kerry Washington as well, because she was in Mr. and Mrs. Smith back in the day.
Oh, wow. That's right.
I forgot about that. I was just double checking it.
That was before she made it big, too. That's why she wasn't.
I was double checking everybody and saw that when I clicked her name, and I was like,
do you know what else she was in? It won't be something we watch, but you know what else she was in before?
What are
she did an episode of Psych.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have her listed somewhere on here. I don't know where I put it. But anyway, she's at 2 movies that we have her for so far. I put a +1 for Andrew Scott because he'll be Inspector as well, and we're going to be watching that at some point, so we'll get him up to 2 at least. Oh, there is oh, here she is, Kerry Washington. We also have Jeremy Renner +1, Glenn Close +1, Thomas Hayden Church +1. Those are probably the big ones that we would be
maybe come across at some point.
We got a +1 for Joseph Gordon-Levitt, because he is in every project of Rian Johnson's, and he is the baseball announcer in this movie.
Oh, you can't count that. Come on.
I'm counting it. He's credited. He's credited.
We did not see him on screen. Like, look, if it was strictly like, okay, the Spider-Verse movies where it's animation, it's just voices, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'd be willing to give him that. But come on, you can't. I got to file an official protest on that one. We can't count.
Okay, we'll remove it. But he's in it. He's credited. I think that's all of the people. For the names, we have. I really only added 2, which is Judd and Benoit Blanc. And we have +1 for comedy, because this is a part comedy movie, and +1 for crime/thriller, which is where I put this one. So, oh yeah, I meant to also mention, I just really enjoyed the moment when he interrupts the father with the Phantom of the Opera theme on the
yeah, that was pretty cool,
on the organ. And then also something I read today was that Rian Johnson said the way that they found Josh O'Connor was because Rian Johnson had never heard of him, was Daniel Craig recommended him for the role. So that's how we got such a great performance by him for Father Judd. So Daniel Craig, he made $100 million off of these 2 Knives Out movies. That's what I'm reading here. So he's pulling his weight here, helping cast the movies and everything.
Dude's got a great life. He's made all kind of money from the Bond movies. He's making $100 million from these three. He's married to what? Rachel Weisz.
Oh yeah, I forgot he is.
Like, dude's at the top of the world. Like,
Yeah, no, he's living it good. Um, okay, anything else that we didn't mention? We gave it 5 stars.
yeah, I definitely would give this a 5 star. Like I said, I think for me, I haven't watched the other ones, so if I watched them all, it might shuffle it a little bit. But I think this might be my favorite one of the bunch so far.
Yeah, I
But
ranked them
that
on
also
the
could just
letterbox
be that could also could just be
recency bias.
yes.
I ranked them on the letterbox. I have Knives Out, then this one, then Glass Onion. But I love all three. It's just that's probably how I'd put it. And then look, maybe if I watch this one again, it leapfrogs Knives Out. But Knives Out feels like such a nice comfort movie for me to put on. This one is such heavy with the themes. I think I would have some. This is not one I feel like I could just throw on every so often. You know, I do want to watch it again though and see if I missed anything else. On like maybe can you see like Jeremy Renner maybe fiddling with the remote control or whatever? You know, like can you see that kind of stuff? I don't know, but that would be pretty cool. Um, Okay, so like I said, next episode, we're back on track. We've already recorded that one. It's the Batman. But yeah, if another movie comes out that we're both interested in that we want to do this for, the
I'd be up
nice
for
little
it.
test
Yeah.
run on this. Yeah.
If even if it's something we they both happen to go see in theaters, like I don't know.
Right, right.
Um
Yeah, this was a little easier because it's like on streaming. Everybody's probably watching it at the same time. You know, it was really easy to do it
yeah.
this way. But
I know for a lot of your Marvel and your DC stuff, you like going to see it like opening weekend, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um I'll go opening weekend for movies for me if it's something that really piques my interest, like Sinners or like a Jordan Peele movie,
Hmm.
something like that, where maybe it might be like the thing is like with a Marvel or DC, you know, like that theater's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and
You
quite
hope it is.
honestly,
In the sense of it doing good business. But yeah, no, I get your
we,
point.
what I'm saying, like first weekend, you know, it's gonna be packed because people are gonna want to see it.
Yes.
After that, it might thin out. Um, that might be the only issue if it's in theaters is when do we go see it? Because for some of them, may not want to go see it opening weekend. Because I'll be honest, I kind of like the idea of going to a movie theater where it's not so packed right now. Like
Hmm.
not even necessarily from like people coughing and giving up cooties and germs all over me, but just the fact of like, hey, there's a little more room to spread out, and it's just a little better of a experience. Now there are some movies that probably are like I will probably go see Avengers whatchamacallit opening weekend.
Doomsday.
Doomsday, yeah. I'm probably gonna go see that opening weekend because I don't want to miss that.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun. You know, I'm going to we're gonna do something really fun for that in the build up that I'm experimenting with. We're gonna do a fantasy draft on Soups and Savers where we're gonna draft Avengers characters that are confirmed for the movie, and then I'm coming up with a point system like fantasy football that you know like this many points for this thing, this many points for this thing, and then see who has the best team.
After they like we draft them before the movie, and then whatever they do in the
Yeah,
movie, we get points off of.
yeah, yeah, and then we see who had the best team. So that's something I'm thinking about doing. I'm gonna end up probably rewatching Infinity War and Endgame to kind of come up with potential scenarios on what I would be grading on, kind of doing like a
What gets
like
points?
yeah, what gets points, and the best way to do that is look at the other two big Avenger movies and kind of try to figure that out and you know track it on an Excel spreadsheet and stuff and figure it out. But um it's something that came to me like last year sometime or earlier this year and I was like I want to do that. And I'm going to really try to figure out the best way to have that work, because I think it would be really fun if we kind of came up with team names and drafted some of the superheroes and see who comes out on top. Um, but yeah, not that that's related to this, but if you're interested in that, Soups and Sabers is where we have all of our nerd talk. While over here, films for the very first time, we're very serious film people.
Totally serious. We don't go off on like 5 or 10 minute tangents at all in any of our shows.
About the confessions. Okay, well, I guess that wraps us up here. Like I said, the Batman is next, so make sure you are watching that. I double checked; it's still on HBO Max right now, so people can check that out and watch that next, which I believe is going to be next week. So thank you all for watching or listening along with us here, and have a great rest of your week.